Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are opening up a stack of research focused on something really personal.
Yeah, managing fertility challenges.
Exactly. And we're diving deep into the data around Chinese herbal medicine, CHM, as a supportive, complementary approach.
It's a huge conversation right now, and honestly, for good reason. Infertility affects, around 15% of couples globally?
That's the number, yeah.
And while the conventional routes, IVF, hormone therapies, they're the standard, right? But many people are looking for ways to maybe improve their body's baseline health.
To make those treatments work better.
Precisely. To potentially enhance the outcomes.
Okay. So our mission today, for you, the learner, is to really cut through some of the noise here.
Get to the science.
Yeah, scientific why, and importantly, the numbers. We've got research that kind of dissects this supportive role of CHM into four specific areas.
Okay, what are they?
First, improving the actual quality of the egg itself.
Foundational.
Then, optimizing the uterine lining, making it receptive for implantation.
Crucial step.
Third, boosting overall clinical pregnancy success rates. The big picture goal.
Right.
And finally, something really important, stabilizing early pregnancy to help prevent miscarriage.
Covering the whole early journey then.
That's the plan.
Okay.
Let's unpack this.
All right.
And we really have to start at the very beginning, don't we? With the health of the reproductive cells, the eggs. So when fertility specialists talk about egg quality, what do they really mean?
They're talking about its health, its viability, its genetic resilience, basically.
And this quality, it's super important, but it can decline, right, with age or certain conditions.
Absolutely. Age is a big factor, but also things like diminished ovarian reserve. And poor quality, well, it just leads to fewer successful fertilizations.
Fewer viable embryos down the line.
Exactly. So how does the research suggest these traditional herbs actually help at that very basic cellular level?
Yeah, what's the mechanism?
Well, the mechanism seems pretty elegant, actually. It revolves heavily around protection. The source material explains CHM acts like a sort of internal bodyguard.
Against what?
Against oxidative stress.
Yeah.
It's a well-known issue. These herbal compounds provide potent antioxidants.
Okay, antioxidants. We hear that term a lot. What does it mean here?
It means they neutralize those unstable molecules, free radicals, the ones that can damage developing eggs.
So like protecting the eggs from harm.
That's a big part of it, but
yeah.
the research points to more than just defense. Yeah, two other critical functions. First, these herbs seem to help modulate and balance key hormones.
Which ones?
The ones needed for smooth, healthy follicle growth and proper egg maturation.
Right. And the second thing?
This one's maybe the most powerful physical factor, enhancing blood flow directly to the ovaries.
Blood flow again. That seems to come up a lot in CHM.
It does. It's fundamental in their view of physiology.
And increasing blood flow. That means better nutrient delivery, right? More oxygen.
Exactly. If you're getting more oxygen and nutrients to a developing egg, you're essentially giving it the best possible environment to mature properly, to be resilient.
You're optimizing its little world.
Precisely. Optimizing the environment.
Okay, but look, integrating these two systems, you've got high-tech IVF, complex procedures, and then traditional herbal protocols. It sounds tricky.
It requires coordination, definitely.
So does the research actually show this antioxidant effect, this blood flow improvement, translates into real results when you pair it with IVF? Or is it just theoretical?
No, it absolutely seems to translate. We looked at a meta-analysis. This pulled together 20 different trials.
Okay.
Over 1,700 women involved, focusing specifically on combining CHM with IVF.
And the findings?
Very clear, actually. Integrating these specific herbal protocols alongside IVF cycles led to a higher yield of quality embryos.
Not just more embryos, but better quality ones.
Correct. And significantly improved fertilization rates, too.
That quality point is huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because in IVF, quantity is one thing, but quality is often the real bottleneck.
It's often the difference maker. Quality embryos are the ones far more likely to implant successfully and develop. And crucially, the analysis noted that this supportive combo seemed to achieve these better outcomes without increasing risks, like ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, which can sometimes happen with fertility drugs.
So it's supportive, not adding problems.
Exactly. Supportive, not counterproductive. That's the idea.
Okay, so let's say the evidence suggests we can help build a stronger, healthier egg using these protocols. That's step one.
The potential starting point.
But the job's only half done, right? You need a good place for that embryo to implant, a landing pad.
Absolutely. The next hurdle is successful implantation.
Which puts the focus squarely on the uterine lining, the endometrium.
That's right.
And if that lining is too thin or maybe the blood supply isn't great, implantation chances drop a lot.
Dramatically. And this is an area where CHM traditionally puts a lot of emphasis. Circulation again.
Back to blood flow.
Yeah, think of it like this. The primary function of many of these herbs in this context is to act like a powerful irrigation system for the uterus.
Okay, irrigation.
Better circulation delivers more hormones, better oxygenation, the nutrients needed, all to help that lining thicken and mature properly. Get ready.
Makes sense. What else?
Well, additionally, the research suggests CHM works to reduce chronic inflammation in the reproductive tissues.
Ah, inflammation. That's another common target.
Right. If the uterine environment is constantly, stressed or inflamed, it's just less welcoming for an embryo.
Like trying to plant a seed in rocky, irritated soil.
Good analogy. So, by calming that local environment and helping stabilize key hormones for implantation, estrogen, progesterone, the lining becomes much more supportive.
That makes intuitive sense for general health, but the clinical trials we reviewed, they got pretty specific about this, didn't they? Measuring things.
They did. They weren't just guessing about circulation. Systematic reviews showed direct evidence of increased endometrial thickness. That's measurable.
Okay.
But the really compelling data for me involved imaging studies, ultrasounds, and Doppler. They noted enhanced receptivity linked to improved vascularization.
Meaning new blood vessel growth.
Healthy blood vessel growth, yes. And also reduced resistance in the uterine arteries.
Reduced resistance. That sounds very technical. What does it imply?
It suggests the blood isn't just there, it's flowing easily, efficiently, without struggling to get through. Better perfusion.
Okay. But thinking about someone going through conventional treatment, like IVF, is this benefit something they can easily tap into? Are these findings true for just any old herb, or does the practitioner need very specific knowledge?
Oh, the need for tailored knowledge is absolutely key here. That's a critical point.
Right.
We have to emphasize. These studies are generally based on specific, complex formulas. They're prescribed and often modified by highly trained practitioners. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all situation.
So you can't just buy something off the shelf.
Generally, no. The real power of CHM, according to its principles, lies in individualizing the formula, addressing the specific imbalance, whether they call it blood stasis or POI deficiency or hormone imbalance, whatever, is hindering that optimal flow and receptivity in that particular person.
And that tailoring is especially important for IVF timing.
Crucial, because in IVF, you need that lining to be perfectly receptive at a very specific time. Getting the formula right, timed correctly, is part of that individualized approach.
All right, so we've talked about potentially improving the egg, preparing the lining. Now let's zoom out. The big picture.
The ultimate goal.
Exactly. Confirm clinical pregnancies, live births. What's the overall impact CHM might have here, according to the research?
Well, if you think about combining the potential benefits we discussed, balanced hormones, maybe reduced systemic stress, that ongoing antioxidant protection, superior circulation.
You're sort of optimizing the whole system.
You're optimizing the entire reproductive ecosystem, yes.
Right.
And this kind of multi-system support is likely why the aggregate data, the overall numbers, look so, well, impressive.
Okay.
Here's where it gets really interesting. When you look at the numbers comparing standard treatments with integrated approaches.
All right, give us the headline data then. What does the actual improvement, the lift, look like in terms of success rates?
The lift in some studies is genuinely remarkable. There was one rigorous meta-analysis of randomized trials.
Okay, the gold standard of analysis.
Right. It showed that when specific prescribed herbal formulas were integrated with conventional IVF protocols, they effectively doubled clinical pregnancy rates.
Doubled. Hold on. Doubled.
So
That's a jaw-dropping number.
Yeah.
In fertility medicine, even small percentage point increases are usually a big deal.
It is a very big deal.
What were the actual numbers? Do you remember?
Yeah, they moved from a baseline clinical pregnancy rate of about 36%, which is pretty typical for many IVF groups,
Okay, about 1 in 3.
up to a striking 53%.
Wow. Better than 1 in 2.
That kind of jump suggests a really profound enhancement of the IVF procedure's effectiveness when supported this way.
That scale of improvement is fantastic, but it does make you pause, doesn't it? We have to think critically here.
Always.
You mentioned earlier that the quality of some underlying studies is sometimes rated as moderate. How do we, as, informed learners, square such a huge success rate doubling with potential limitations like smaller study sizes or maybe bias in trials that weren't fully blinded.
That's honestly the most important question to ask when looking at this kind of data. We absolutely must approach it with critical balance.
Well, how do we interpret it?
Look, these results are encouraging because they show consistent trend across multiple studies. It's not just one rogue outlier study saying this.
Okay, consistency is key.
But the caveat remains. Until we see those really large, multi-center, perfectly blinded trials, which are frankly very difficult and expensive to run with complex, individualized herbal formulas, we should probably treat the magnitude of the effect, that doubling number, as potentially preliminary.
But the direction?
The direction of the improvement seems pretty reliable. The data strongly suggests synergy is happening, that combining them is better than either alone for many people.
Synergy. Good word. And it wasn't just about short-term IVF cycles either, was it? There was another big study.
That's correct. We also reviewed a separate large-scale study. This one involved over 4,000 women looking at outcomes over a longer time frame, 3 to 6 months.
And what did that show?
It showed that for women using herbal treatment compared to Western medicine alone over that period, pregnancy rates increased by about 1.7 times.
So still a very significant boost, even outside the intensive IVF context.
Exactly. It suggests the benefit isn't just confined to one high-stakes cycle, but might actually accrue over time as the body's reproductive environment is continuously supported and hopefully optimized.
That idea of continuous support brings us to the final and often very sensitive area we looked at, miscarriage.
Yeah, early pregnancy loss before 20 weeks.
It can be devastating, especially if it happens repeatedly or if it's a threatened miscarriage situation.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
And CHM protocols are sometimes used here too, often alongside conventional support like progesterone, right?
Yes, frequently as an adjunct therapy.
So what's the thinking there? What's the fundamental role the herbs are thought to play in stabilization?
The role is seen as being intensely supportive, trying to strengthen and maintain that fragile environment needed for early development.
Oh.
The research suggests the formulas primarily work by bolstering hormones crucial for maintaining the pregnancy.
Like progesterone.
Improving the body's own production or utilization, yes. Supporting the corpus luteum function, helping the placenta attach securely in those critical early stages.
Makes sense.
And it comes back to blood flow again. But now the focus is optimizing supply to the uterus and the developing placenta itself.
Ensuring the fetus gets enough nutrients and oxygen.
Exactly. During those really foundational weeks, and just like we talked about for implantation, there's also a role in modulating the immune response.
Calming things down.
Helping to calm potentially problematic immune responses or excessive inflammation that might otherwise trigger a loss.
Okay, that stabilization idea is really significant, especially for women facing recurrent loss. What did the large-scale data tell us about actual continuation rates? Did it help women stay pregnant?
The data here offers some real hope, I think. There was a very large meta-analysis. This one pooled data from 57 trials, nearly 6,000 women.
Wow, that's a lot of data.
It is, and it found that combining the herbs with Western treatments significantly increased pregnancy continuation rates by about 20%.
20%, that's substantial, helping pregnancies continue that might otherwise have been lost.
Exactly, and I remember seeing a secondary benefit noted in those sources too. Did you catch that?
Yes. The same analysis, it noted that the combination therapy also seemed to cut the rate of preterm births in half.
Right, which speaks to that overall stabilizing effect, doesn't it? On the whole, uterine and placental environment may be carrying through later into pregnancy.
And what about those really tough cases, recurrent miscarriage, where loss is almost the defining feature of their fertility struggle?
For that specific group, recurrent miscarriage, a separate review of 41 trials showed up to a 31% improvement in live birth rates when herbal treatment was integrated.
A 31% better chance of taking home a baby. That's huge for those families.
It really is, and perhaps the most reassuring piece of information for any listener considering this, especially during such a vulnerable time.
Yes.
The researchers across these miscarriage-focused studies made a specific point of noting this. No increased adverse effects were found.
When CHM was used alongside standard medical care.
Correct. Safety seemed to be maintained, while efficacy, the chance of success, was enhanced. That's a crucial finding. #tag V. Conclusion and caveats. So if we try to synthesize all this, boil down the core knowledge we've extracted today.
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
The evidence base for CHM as a complement to fertility treatment looks pretty encouraging, doesn't it? We see consistent threads of support across those 4 critical areas we discussed.
Egg health, uterine lining, overall pregnancy rates and miscarriage prevention.
Right. And all those benefits seem to largely trace back to maybe three primary mechanisms we kept seeing.
Which were?
Superior antioxidant protection at the cellular level,
Okay.
balanced hormonal signaling,
Right.
and maybe most impactfully, that enhanced blood flow and reduced inflammation within the reproductive system itself.
That knowledge really does seem invaluable. But, as we talked about, especially with those big numbers like doubling,
We have to circle back to the caveats.
we do. We have to acknowledge that the quality of some of the underlying research, while growing, is often still described as moderate. Smaller trials, potential biases.
Absolutely. Critical thinking is essential here. The data is strong enough to suggest a real benefit, a positive trend, but maybe not yet robust enough across the board to be considered standard first-line treatment in conventional Western medicine settings.
So what's the practical advice then?
The crucial takeaway, echoed in pretty much all the clinical reviews we looked at, is this. CHM should really only ever be used as a complementary approach.
Not instead of conventional care.
Definitely not, instead of. And consulting, coordinating, collaborating with your conventional healthcare providers, your OBGYN, your reproductive endocrinologist, that is absolutely essential.
For safety and integration.
For safe, effective, integrated care, these approaches need to work together, not in isolation or opposition.
So what does this all mean? Hashtag take outro. Well, it means the evidence base connecting some of these ancient principles with modern biological understanding is getting stronger.
It seems to be bridging that gap.
And the value proposition seems pretty clear, right? By potentially optimizing the body's internal environment. Bolstering hormones, fighting oxidative stress, getting better nutrient delivery through improved vascularization.
You seem to be measurably increasing the chances for successful outcomes.
Even when someone is already undergoing intensive conventional treatments like IVF, it's about enhancing, supporting.
Exactly. And, given that so much of the source material suggests CHM works primarily through these fundamental mechanisms, enhancing circulation, reducing inflammation in that very specific reproductive system,
Yeah.
for you, the learner, it raises a really powerful question, I think, something to explore further.
Okay, what's that?
If consistent, improved blood flow and a stable, low-stress, low-inflammation environment are scientifically supported keys to fertility success, what non-herbal complementary practices might offer similar measurable support?
So thinking beyond herbs.
Yeah, maybe things involving diet, specific types of exercise, targeted stress reduction techniques like mindfulness or acupuncture. Could they achieve some of those same foundational physiological improvements? Better blood flow, less inflammation in the reproductive environment.
That's a fascinating angle. Looking for other ways to achieve those same biological end goals.
Exactly. Something interesting to mull over.